Joining us now is Republican Congressman from Florida, Byron Donalds. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. I know you want to talk about Hunter Biden, and I do want to get your opinion on that. But I want to start first with what is pressing in the House right now, and that is this looming government shutdown. Are you ready and willing to turn the lights off to get what you want?
Look, my position is, and frankly the position of many members here, is that we want the federal government to do its job, actually follow its laws, like border security law provisions, which are identified in law, and that if we're going to fund our government, that the government actually should do the things that the American people expect it to do. That is our position. So what you're going to see unfold, I believe, over the next couple of weeks is our ability to try to make that a reality for the American people. The real question now comes into, does the Senate and does the White House simply not care about any of those adjustments and just want to continue to fund a government that is not responsive to the needs of the American people?
So what you're saying is if you don't get the concessions you want on border policy and other things that are never going to pass the Senate, that you're willing to say no. How long is it going to take?
Well, actually, I think you got it wrong there, Katie. That would be the Senate and the White House saying no. We're actually getting pretty clear on our side of things that, yes, security of our nation is of paramount importance. It is one of the key functions of the federal government. And this is not about red states or red counties. Look at what's happening in New York City right now as we speak, in Chicago, Illinois, right now as we speak. We have young kids who've gone back to school, and now the teachers are scrambling trying to find translators for other children who have showed up in these schools. That's a serious problem. So if the Senate and the White House say they don't want any changes, that would be them saying no, not us.
But why not go through with a bipartisan compromise on immigration, which people have been advocating for, and people in New York, by the way, are advocating for that. That's what Mayor Adams wants. He wants a compromise between both parties on immigration reform. That's what Chicago wants. That's what they're saying. They're not saying take what the hardliners in the Republican Party want and just force that upon everybody. They're saying that both parties need to come together to find a compromise on this. Why not do it that way? Isn't government supposed to be a compromise between everybody, not just a force through of what one party wants? You don't like that when the Democrats do it.
Well, I would tell you right now, that's exactly what the Democrats are doing. When Joe Biden became president,
I just said. You don't like it. So don't you think there should be a compromise?
Let me answer your question, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. The current situation on the southern border is very clear. Joe Biden is basically ignoring most of federal law, and he has completely opened up the asylum provisions, which has led to the current environment. Don't break the border and then tell me now you have to go negotiate immigration policy.
No.
We can talk about
immigration policy.
We can talk about immigration policy all we want.
It's not just Joe Biden. This has been on the table for multiple decades.
Katie, don't do that. Katie, don't do that.
Mr. Donalds.
Immigration policy and border security are two different things. We should be securing our southern border. There's no reason why we should not do that. And in that environment where you've secured your southern border, which, by the way, we were well on our way towards doing before Joe Biden became president, that gives you the dynamics for both sides to trust each other in a negotiation about immigration reform.
Bipartisan immigration negotiations have been the hopes and dreams of many Americans now for decades. It's not a new thing suddenly with President Biden in charge. Let me ask you about Kevin McCarthy and his speakership. Do you plan on, do you think that he's going to remain speaker for the rest of this term?
I do. Listen, there's obviously contentious issues going on in the conference right now, but I'm just going to watch those things play out. I'm really not engaged in that. What I'm focused on is the House's ability to actually move through the process of appropriating for our government. I think the speaker will be fine, but we have to walk through that process like every other process.
If there's a motion to vacate, are you confident that he's got the votes? I mean, is he in a position of power right now? When he was in that conference this morning saying, I dare you to do it, do you believe that there are members of your party who are going to take that up?
I really don't know right now. I know there's conversations about it, but that remains to be seen. The number one thing that I'm working on that's in front of us right now, like I said, is what are we going to do about government funding?
What will you think of his leadership if he comes to a compromise, one that is palatable for Democrats in the House, Democrats in the Senate, the president?
I'll come back on your show and we'll talk about it at that point in time. But until then, the number one thing, like I keep telling you, that matters is where are we going on federal spending before September 30th, and what are we going to do about security of our nation? Those are the two key issues. The rest of the stuff is internal palace intrigue. I know it's cool to throw on the Chiron and talk about, but that is not a fundamental issue that the American people are focused on.
Let me ask you about Hunter Biden, as promised. What's your take on the charges today?
About damn time. I don't know what took the Department of Justice so long.
Why don't you think it happened 5 years ago when President Trump was president?
Well, first of all, I can't speak to that because the Attorney General at the time, Bill Barr, and his team was looking at this. They sent this to David Weiss, who was the person looking into this. And by the way, the Department of Justice is in violation of their own regulations, because if you do bring in a special counsel, they're supposed to come in from outside of the government. That's Department of Justice regulation. I digress. At the end of the day, this has been a slow-walked investigation. It has serious issues about what's going on at Main Justice. And that's why I say about damn time, because the facts were crystal clear for years, but David Weiss and whoever's working under him with his team were not pursuing this in the way that should have been resolved.
Congressman Byron Donalds of the great state of Florida, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.